today, I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official impeachment inquiry. The president must be held accountable. No one is above the law.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi saying that everything was completely changed after President Trump came out and admitted that he did indeed in some form speak with and potentially pressure the Ukrainian president to investigate Joe Biden.
This isn't relitigating the past. This isn't relitigating the election with Hillary Clinton. This is about the president abusing his office in seeking political dirt about an election that's upcoming.
I think you have more people on the side of saying politics be damned here for a moment. There may be a real moral call that there's a constitutional responsibility here to hold the president accountable.
That call was perfect. It couldn't have been nicer. What Joe Biden did for his son, that's something they should be looking at.
This is a 5-page transcript. It appears to be a nearly complete transcript of the July call where President Trump asked Ukrainian President Zelensky several times to collaborate with Attorney General Barr and his attorney, Rudy Giuliani, to look into Biden and his son Hunter. Now, he doesn't specifically mention military aid, but says the U.S. has been, quote, very, very good to Ukraine. So not an explicit quid pro quo, but the president was clearly teeing up his requests to Ukraine.
Impeachment for that?
From my point of view, to impeach any president over a phone call like this would be insane.
The American people are going to view this and roll their eyes because it's going to sound to them like much of the same thing they've been hearing for the last 3 years.
So what's the process? How does impeachment work? Well, the investigation is going to go forward, and if the people in charge of the House of Representatives, the Democrats, think that there is enough to go forward with impeachment, the House Judiciary Committee will consider what's called articles of impeachment, which are specific charges. And if they vote articles of impeachment, then the full House of Representatives will vote on whether Donald Trump will be impeached. Now, if there is a majority in support of impeachment, Donald Trump doesn't lose his office. That's like a formal charge. It's like an indictment. So if Donald Trump is indicted the way Bill Clinton was impeached, then the case will go to the United States Senate. It takes 2/3, 67 votes in the Senate, to remove a president from office. I think everyone believes it's very unlikely in a Republican-controlled Senate.
Impeaching Trump could epically backfire on Democrats heading into the 2020 election cycle. They've got plenty of races to focus on winning instead of trying to undo a race that they, sorry Democrats, already lost. It would, simply put, turn Trump into a victim, a place he loves to be. Impeaching Trump in the House without a real chance of the Senate following suit hands the president the ability to say that Democrats hate him so much that they are unfairly targeting him and ignoring their responsibilities to the country.
Now, there is one witness that they won't bring in front of us. They won't bring in front of the American people. And that's the guy who started it all, the whistleblower. Nope. 435 members of Congress, only one gets to know who that person is. Only one member of Congress has a staff that gets to talk to that person. The rest of us don't. Only chairmanship knows who the whistleblower is. We don't. We will never get the chance. We will never get the chance to see the whistleblower raise his right hand, swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. We'll never get that chance. More importantly, the American people won't get that chance. This anonymous so-called whistleblower with no firsthand knowledge, who's biased against the president, who worked with Joe Biden, who is the reason we're all sitting here today, will never get a chance to question that individual. Democrats are trying to impeach the president based on all that. 11 and a half months before an election. We'll not get to check out his credibility, his motivations, his bias. I said this last week, but this is a sad day. This is a sad day for this country. You think about what the Democrats have put our nation through for the last 3 years. Started July of 2016 when they spied on 2 American citizens associated with the presidential campaign, and all that unfolded with the Mueller investigation after that. And when that didn't work, here we are. Based on this. The American people see through all this. They understand the facts support the president. They understand this process is unfair, and they see through the whole darn sham. With that, I yield back.
Mr. Welch.
Thank you. I say to my colleague, I'd be glad to have the person who started it all come in and testify. President Trump is welcome to take a seat right there.
No, I have a very good relationship with Mick. I like Mick Mulvaney. I have a very good relationship with him. Well, I have a deputy. As you know, I put in a very nice, right. I put in a very good man who's highly respected, and he's acting right now, and we'll see where that goes. And as you know, John, I like acting. I mean, a lot of people say act. I like acting. It gives you great flexibility. I do.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg has now announced her 4th bout of cancer. How have the justices responded to the notorious RBG?
Well, I mean, we all adore Ruth Bader Ginsburg and wish her nothing but the best and look forward to seeing her on the bench very soon. I can tell you she provided a very warm welcome for me when I arrived here. A long time ago, I had been a law clerk to Byron White, the first justice from Colorado. And when he retired, I was his law clerk. And one of the things the justice was doing when I arrived was gathering together his law clerk manual, which was a bit messy, and trying to put it in neat form to provide it to his successor, who was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And we provided that to her. And he wrote something typically humble, like, I don't know if this will be any help, but in case you find it useful, here are my notes for my law clerks that I give them every year. Well, fast forward about 25 years, whatever it was, my first week on the court, what do I receive? A note in my inbox along with a big binder saying, you may recognize some of this. I hope I've improved it a little bit since you've last seen it.
Let me ask you, your old boss, Byron White, he said every time a new member comes on the court, the whole court changes. How did the court change with Justice Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, I've known Justice Kavanaugh for 40 years. He's a good friend, and it was delightful to have him come on the court. He's been a great addition. We had a little bit of fun when he arrived, too. One tradition of the court is that the junior justice has to arrange the welcome dinner for the new incoming junior justice. Justice Kagan did a marvelous job with mine, and she had a chef come in and provide this incredible, lavish Indian dinner for us. It was magnificent. But I've known Justice Kavanaugh, as I say, a long time, and I knew he's kind of a meat and potatoes kind of guy, so dinner was going to be a little boring, and I had to do something on the entertainment front to make things more interesting. And I wasn't sure how it was going to go over, to be honest with you. But the Washington Nationals, he's a big fan of the baseball team. And their mascots are these, they call them the presidents, and they race around, and they have giant foam heads. And so I didn't tell anybody, because I figured it might be better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And we had a couple of them in the Great Hall, and we had a race.
Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, a Hollywood actress landed the role of a lifetime. Before her fairy tale romance, Meghan Markle starred in USA Network's legal drama, Suits.
I had been a practicing paralegal for the past 8 years.
She wasn't only a celebrity, but an activist and humanitarian. Across the pond, Prince Harry had lived in the spotlight since his childhood. The two met on a blind date in the summer of 2016.
What's interesting is that Meghan said she didn't know much about Harry when she arrived. Harry didn't know much about Meghan either.
The only thing that I had asked her when she said she wanted to set us up was, I had one question. I said, well, is he nice?
So Harry is deeply suspicious of the press, and it goes back to his childhood, the way he saw his mother's privacy constantly invaded, and he didn't want Meghan to suffer in the same way. So they tried to keep the relationship under wraps. Eventually it leaked. She was living in Canada, and photographers started hovering outside her house, and Harry was absolutely furious. So he issued this unprecedented letter calling for the press to respect her privacy.
That letter issued by Kensington Palace 4 months after they met, confirmed that the two were officially dating.
Tabloids make huge amounts of money from pictures of her. So it's as simple as that. They get a picture, the reality is that picture sells, and money really fuels the whole paparazzi industry.
In the fall of 2017, Markle quits Suits, flies to London, and moves into Kensington Palace with Prince Harry. And finally,
Meghan Markle and Prince Harry announced that they are getting married.
How lovely to be starting with such wonderful news.
It's happened. I mean, how long have we been waiting for this to happen?
Yeah.
It happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month.
What were we doing? Just roasting chicken and
Roasting
having
a chicken, trying to roast a chicken.
He got on one knee.
Of course.
Was it an instant yes from you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I could barely let you finish proposing. I was like, can I say yes now?
like most modern couples, they only needed one more thing: the Queen's permission.
Well, the British monarchy has modernised to some extent, but it's pretty glacial. And even now, if anyone in the top 6 of the line of succession wants to get married, they have to get permission of the Queen. She did say yes, so one can assume that she approves. Meghan Markle really does fit into the fairy tale here, the princess from LA who met her prince, and I think you're going to see a fairy tale play out in real life.
The end. May they live happily ever after.
The plague is caused by a bacteria called Yersinia pestis, and most of the time humans get it from a flea bite. Back when plague was rampant and there was no treatment for it, plague could get into people's blood and it could turn their limbs black, and that's where we get the term Black Death. When the plague struck the Roman Empire in the 6th century, it went on to kill 25 million people. Eventually, the plague wiped out 60% of Europe. Now, before there were antibiotics, the plague would kill between 66 and 93% of people who got it. Now, with antibiotics, that mortality rate goes down to about 16%. So typically every year in the United States, 1 person dies of the plague and 7 people get sick. Fever, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting. If you get these symptoms and you're living in an area where it's known that the plague has been before, then you should go seek help from your doctor. And you should definitely go to your doctor if you develop huge lymph nodes. Sometimes people with the plague, they get lymph nodes the size of a chicken egg. Also, the Centers for Disease Control says you should never feed rodents like squirrels and rats, and you certainly shouldn't touch them after they've died. We've done a great job of getting rid of the plague almost entirely in this country. Better hygiene goes a long way, but you can't entirely get rid of the bacteria. It's not just a Dark Ages bacteria, it's still with us.